Novo Nordisk shares popping 6% after better-than-expected trial results from its so-called Wegovy pill. Angelica Peebles is here with more. So much coming out this week in the weight loss space.
It has been quite a busy week, I can assure you that. But this data definitely impressing. So this was actually not presented at that conference, but still coming amid this big week where we have all of these different presentations coming out of this diabetes conference in Vienna. But the headline here is that Wegovy in a pill, as Novo is now calling it, it produced weight loss of more than 16% at the highest dose. That's a 25 milligram dose. And that is important because, remember, the expectations for Lilly's pill have come down so much. Their pill showing about 12% weight loss. And now you have Novo out here saying, look, our pill is just as good as our weekly shot. And so now we have a viable competitor here. And I think it's part of this narrative that people are now giving Novo a second look in the obesity pill space. For so long, people thought that Lilly would just naturally dominate because they have a drug that you can scale easier. There are no food and water restrictions. So clearly they were going to be the winner here. But now people are rethinking that and saying maybe Novo actually does have a good shot.
But we don't really know what patients' uptake will be in terms of conforming to the requirements that you have to take the pill within a certain amount of time of eating, et cetera. I mean, it's much more restrictive than Air4.
You know, I think that's a really interesting debate. So you can't drink water, eat any food for 30 minutes. Now, some people will say that's a really big restriction. Other people will say, how big of a deal is that? You know, you take it before you get in the shower and you go about your business and then you suddenly eat. Like I eat when I get to work, you know, so that wouldn't really be a problem for me. But so that I think is something that people will consider. I'm sure that Lilly will make a very strong point to say, look, ours doesn't come with any restrictions. But again, you can already see this change in posture from Novo that they're putting in their press release. This is Wegovy in a pill. And that's something that I'm sure you're going to hear them hype up quite a bit.
With all the iterations of these treatments, it's kind of fascinating. It's kind of like software versions, right? There's always going to be a tweak. They can improve it in one, you know, at least for one application. So how durable are these advantages that, you know, any of these companies comes up with?
Well, the pill is obviously an advantage because it comes, you know, it's a pill versus a weekly shot.
Right.
Now, how big of an advantage, again, is something that has been debated. I think going into this year, people thought if you could come up with a pill for obesity, that is going to be the golden ticket. And now people are thinking, okay, well, actually, people are fine with these weekly injections. However, that's here in the U.S. And the case globally is that not everywhere can support the cold chain that's required to ship these medicines that need to stay refrigerated. And also, not everyone can pay for them. So the pill, especially, and that's the case for Lilly, is that their pill can be manufactured so much cheaper than the injections that maybe that gives them a leg up. But still, you know, these are just the first iterations, and there's much more to come in the pipeline.